Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated, where, as a former comic book guy, pretty excited today. I've got actor David Mazouz with me. So welcome, David. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you killed it.
Hey,
Thank you
all
for doing
right.
that. Not it doesn't read that way on paper, so I appreciate you doing your
Well,
research.
yeah, so we're a family of Davids, right? So my middle name's David, my brother's name's David, my dad's name's David.
Wow.
So I was thinking, normally I'll have people on and I'll struggle a little bit with the pronunciation. So I'll have to practice a little bit. And I was like, oh, hey, I got this one. I got this one. But then,
And
I
then
was
you
like,
realize you didn't got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I need to make sure I got the last name right. So I was like, oh, okay. All right. I'm glad I listened to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
My
welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So you are that looks like a dorm room. Are you in a dorm room?
I am in a dorm room. Yeah. I'm here in my dorm room in a frat house in at Stanford, California.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Do you have a roommate?
I do have a roommate.
Did he freak
Unfortunately,
out that Bruce Wayne's in the room with him?
he does not. He as most of my friends doesn't care too much, which is nice.
They're probably more like Burt California fans.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. They actually, so they like got a bunch of embarrassing pictures of everyone to put on their doors here, and they put a picture of me as Burt California on my door. So every time I come in, I remember that.
Don't you think that would make kind of a cool mashup if they did? Because you've got James Spader played your dad, and he's Ultron. You did the Bruce Wayne stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, you were like a zombie on The Office.
Yeah.
You could do
So
like
what
a
if
zombie Bruce Wayne, son of Ultron.
yeah. I think that could be really cool.
That's the what if we need.
Yeah. I haven't seen What If yet. Have you liked it?
Oh man, you should watch that. You should
Yeah.
watch that. It's I won't say every episode is a home run, but they're all pretty good, and some of them are just really well done.
Yeah. There's one where like Star Lord is King T'Challa. Is that right? I heard that was a
Yeah,
really good one.
yeah, that's probably the best episode.
Cool.
That's probably the best one because they just finished with like the Ultron. It was like a 2-part Ultron episode, and it was really good too. But I think that T'Challa as Star Lord was probably my favorite.
What was
That
the
was
premise
just
of the Ultron one?
so this one it's Ultron. He gets the Infinity Stone that the Vision has,
Ah,
and he uses that to defeat Thanos and get the rest of them. And then he's basically just destroying all the multiverses.
wow.
Every universe out, he's just destroying. So it's pretty destructive. And then of course there's like random heroes from the other episodes of the show.
Mm,
Since it's a multiverse, you can pull them from different places that
right.
try to defeat him at the end. I don't want to give it
So
away. It's pretty good.
so is What If existing in like one alternate dimension, where like there's a bunch of different things like King T'Challa is Star Lord and Ultron gets the last Infinity Stone, or is each episode like a different reality?
Yeah,
Like,
each episode's a different reality.
okay.
And then, but so like the first one was, I think it was the first one was a Doctor Strange episode, and he's what's kind of pulling the heroes from the different dimensions together. But each episode is like a group or a person from a different dimension, like a possible reality.
Got it.
So then,
Yeah. I just gotta watch.
I think, yeah, it's kind of wild. But then you've got that Spider-Man multiverse coming up and the Doctor Strange
Yeah.
multiverse. I'm assuming that some of the stuff that's happening in the cartoon is going to have repercussions in the live action stuff.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's kind of a neat concept because you could actually kill off heroes and then bring them back and just say they're from a different universe.
Yeah. Well, that could get neat, or that could just like lower all of the stakes in the entire.
That's right. That's right. Which is kind of what I've always said. Let me ask you this: were you a comic book guy growing up?
Growing up, I wasn't really into the comics, but now since I got Gotham, like I absolutely.
Okay, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Did you ever read Crisis on Infinite Earths?
I did not.
The Crisis was the DC comic from the 80s. They kind of started all this nonsense, right? Because they killed off in that series, they kill off the Flash and Supergirl. And then, of course, at some point they bring them back and just say they're from a different dimension. And then that became kind of the thing. You know, a comic would kill somebody off, and then at some point, fairly soon, they'd come back. And I always felt like it kind of lowered the stakes because they're not really dead.
Yeah, and the whole TV DC multiverse did the same thing, right? With
That's right.
Yeah,
they had the whole. That's right. Yeah, they did the whole, like the CW shows.
Exactly.
They did the Crisis on Infinite Earths, a version of it.
Yeah,
it was basically the same thing. They just brought it, which is neat to see the people, but you know, the stakes. You want the stakes to be high.
Yeah, but it does also give a cool opportunity for you know, joining different versions of like just different productions of each of these characters together, because you can just say that like Christian Bale and Ben Affleck both exist as Batman.
That's right.
In
that's the fun part.
Different Earths, you know, like you could say that, and that's really cool.
That's the fun part. Like I think we may be getting some of that with the Spider-Man, that where, you know, pretty sure they're putting at least Tobey Maguire in that movie along with Tom Holland.
But that's all rumored, right? I think I saw
it's
like
all
Andrew
rumored.
Garfield.
Yeah, they're not saying that's for sure. You know, like Andrew Garfield keeps saying, no, I'm not in it. But my guess is, okay, he's not in Spider-Man, but he'll be in the Doctor Strange one. It'll be something like that.
Yeah.
But I just saw, we went to see Venom Wednesday night, and it's got a scene that kind of moves Venom into the same universe as some of the other heroes.
Oh, cool. All right, I got to watch that.
Yeah, they're trying to use some of those same actors, I'm assuming. It's kind of neat. Yeah. I mean, when I was growing up, you didn't have any of that. We had no movies, no TV shows, nothing. So, you know, as a comic book fan, I'm like, this is pretty cool because you get to see all of it.
Yeah.
Do you since you started reading some of it, I mean, do you have a favorite Batman story?
Yeah, absolutely. I the two that I always say, and I'm a little disappointed in myself that these aren't more original, but I've read tons more Batman stories, and these are just the ones that are like I keep coming back to because they're just so clearly some of the best Batman comic books that are out there. But I don't think that many people would disagree with me on that. And the two that I'm talking about, of course, are the Court of Owls series, going into City of Owls, and then going into Endgame eventually. That whole series. I think it's Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo.
That's an excellent series.
So good, so good. And then the other one that I really like is The Killing Joke, because how could you not love The Killing Joke?
How could you not?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to see a little of the in the Titans show. They've kind of touched on Killing Joke and Death in the Family and you know, some of those type of stories, but they're kind of throwing them all together. You know,
as they should. You know, it's good to reinvent those stories instead of just retelling them.
That's right. You, as a fan, you want everything the same, but you want to be surprised the whole time, which is impossible.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fine line, but I think that for the most part, they do a pretty good job with that. Are you watching any of those?
I haven't seen Titans yet. I haven't seen what they're doing with Killing Joke, but I've heard that this new season on HBO Max is supposed to be fantastic.
It's pretty good.
So
Doom Patrol's pretty good as well.
Really, yeah. I saw like some of the first season of Supergirl, but I haven't come back to it yet. But
do you need to borrow a password to watch these?
If you wanna lend me your password, I won't say no.
So I jumped ahead a little bit. So I usually like to start and just ask the question, you know, what made you want to get into entertainment? What made you want to become an actor? How did you go about that?
Yeah. So when I was like 5 years old, my sister, who's 3 years older than me, she was 8 years old and wanted to take acting classes. And I was, like many younger siblings out there, just kind of willing to do whatever she did. And so we ended up in acting classes from when I was like 5 to 7. And then when I was 7, I ended up at a class that was a commercial workshop with a showcase at the end where they brought a bunch of commercial agents to come and see the kids. And my mom wrote a little Oreo jingle for me to perform. And it was really like, I think I'm allowed to say this now. I think I was pretty cute with my curly hair at 7 years old singing this Oreo jingle. So I got a commercial agent, and then um, when I was 8, my commercial agent referred me to my theatrical agent, and then so it all happened very organically. One thing kind of just led to another. I never woke up, and it also happened when I was super young. So I never kind of woke up one day and said, like, you know what, this is something I think I want to do. I'm going to actively pursue this. It just kind of all came together, which is making it interesting as an adult now in college, seeing all my friends actively choose their life paths and their careers. Kind of, like, where does that leave me? Because I've had this career that I love and I absolutely want to keep doing. But
that's really interesting.
Is it worth exploring some other things?
Yeah, because most actors, they would do like theater through school, through high school or whatever, and then try to get into it, or maybe even after college. But you already did all that, and now you're going to college. It's a little different.
Exactly. So college wasn't necessarily like, from a lot of people, it's a means to an end. It's something that helps them get to their career. And for me, it wasn't that. For me, I wanted to go to college for what college was. I wanted to go to college for the experience.
Yeah.
Because it was something that I always looked forward to. And I also, something that my mom very much implemented in me from a young age was that I was a student actor, not an actor student. And I always took school pretty seriously, and I wanted to see that part of myself through. And I got into a place like Stanford, so I wanted to, just wanted to see it through.
Yeah, that's pretty great. So if you weren't an actor, what would you be doing?
Ooh, what a great question.
Yeah. What would you be going to school for?
What would I be going to school? I mean, I'm studying economics right now. I'm not even studying acting.
Okay.
So I could maybe
be a professor.
Possibly a finance bro. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm minoring in psychology, and I find that really interesting too. So I feel like there's a world where I don't want to say neuroscientists, because that sounds very difficult, but studying, I am pretty fascinated by the brain and consciousness, and asking, like, what is a mind? Is it can a computer be a mind? Is there something else there that's, a little divine? Kind of like the intersection of psychology and philosophy, maybe.
I actually like that a lot. Now, if you could figure out a way to do that as a career, plus do the acting thing.
Hey, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think as an actor, you're asking yourself a lot of those questions a lot of the time. I mean, maybe not so explicitly, but you're constantly stepping into other people's shoes and asking what would lead a person to do this. Why would they be motivated to think this way? And, a lot of times you're playing people that you just vehemently don't even agree with, but you have to add a little bit of empathy to them and understand them. So it takes a lot of understanding and openness to do that. And I think, some of the psychology that I'm learning could definitely be applied there.
That's kind of neat. I think that's neat. As an actor, are you more comfortable improvising, or are you more comfortable like learning the script and kind of sticking to the lines?
I've definitely done more of learning a script and sticking to the line. So I think I'm more comfortable with that, but it's funny that you mentioned that, because I am taking an improv class right now. And nice. Improv just kind of comes with with a whole other set of rules and expectations that you don't really think of too much when you're reading a script. Yeah,
that's kind of neat. I think improv, for like, I couldn't act. That's not me. But if I did, I'd have trouble with improv. I think just coming up with stuff off the top of my head, I think I'd have difficulty with. I'd do better if I could, see the script and kind of rehearse ahead of time.
Yeah, but it's funny that you bring up improv, because the only time I've done improv in a professional setting was on The Office. The Office, a lot of that is improv. They just kind of will tell you, like, all right, in this scene, you're gonna go up to him. Like, for example, the scene that I had to do that was improvised. They told me, okay, you're gonna go up to Toby. I don't know if you've seen The Office.
Character of course. Toby.
Yeah.
So you were very mean to Toby on that episode.
Exactly. So that whole scene was improv. So they said, like, go up to Toby and fire him. You could say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, but you're gonna be like, I'm the boss's son. You're fired. And so that was really fun. Yeah, so in a context like that, when you know who your character is, who the other character is, the setting that you're in, like, none of that is being improv or up for debate, in the moment. Because like in pure improv, like all of that any
Yeah, the whole
offer
thing
shows.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you just
But
have some leeway in your dialogue. Is
yeah,
more what
exactly, exactly.
yeah.
But it's fun. It's super fun to do. It's very liberating. But you can only really do it if you understand your character on a little bit of a deeper level.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. So you were on The Office. You're also, I remember you on the show with Kiefer Sutherland,
Mhm.
Touch, which was excellent. I was very disappointed when that didn't continue.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was you were really good on that show. And if I didn't you do like wasn't there like a web series that you did with that too?
Yeah, Daybreak. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
we just like were guest stars on something else that I think the creator was working on, Tim Kring. I think it was his web series, and he wanted the worlds to cross over. So while we were shooting Touch, Kiefer and I did like a little cameo on that, just to show that these
It
worlds
was
were connected.
Yeah, it was connected. What was that like working with Kiefer? Because he's such a great actor.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, to be honest, it was a long time ago now. I finished that
Yeah.
show when I was 12, and I'm 20 now. Um, but it was fantastic. I mean, everything that I remember about Kiefer and about the show is super, super positive. We were absolutely a family. It was the first thing that I did where I would consistently go to work every day, and I just loved it. I looked forward to it all the time. It felt like my backyard in a little bit. And yeah, like I think some of the things that Kiefer taught me specifically was how to be an effective and also empathetic leader. He
Yeah.
very much took control of that set, but in a way that was not in it was in the kind of the way I like to think about it, it was in the ego of the show. Everything
Right.
it was never about him. It was about what is best for what we need to do right now, and let's make that happen. Let's get everybody excited about that. And
That's kind of
yeah,
neat.
I just and it was really nice to see that firsthand.
Yeah. Well, he's had such a strong career and just a terrific career. It had to be, especially as a young actor. I mean, that's a pretty good learning experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like in terms of acting, I learned so much from him. Just from working with him. Like there's a lot of acting is such an emotional thing that you really only the way to like get better at acting is just to understand more people and understand and just watch different actors, and just observe and like kind of get more emotions and reactions and motivations kind of in your utility belt. And something my mom likes to say that I think is very true is acting is like tennis. You only get better when you work with people who are better than you.
Oh, I like that.
And
I might steal that.
and it's so true. Like if you're working with people who aren't good at acting or are worse than you at acting, like you probably will get worse. And when you work with people who are better than you, it just like immediately inspires. It just shows. It's just like so easy to slip into that. That's why like Gotham was also. I mean, I don't mean to jump ahead, but that's why Gotham was also such a fantastic experience because there were so many talented actors that I had the opportunity and pleasure of working next to day in and day out for 5 years. And just that repeated practice and repeated inspiration just was the best thing that I could have asked for.
It's that show was so well casted. I mean, the main cast was amazing, but it had the best guest stars.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just you could go down the list, and everybody is an actor that you would know.
Yeah,
that has been in a ton of stuff. It's just really cool. When I as a fan, it was really neat seeing the kind of the James Gordon story and the young Bruce Wayne story. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah. They were also awesome to work with.
Well, yeah, they had to be. I would think that would be just a ton of fun. We've been lucky enough to have a few of the cast on, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing. That's why I was so excited when you were coming. I was like, there we go. That's what we were missing. Batman.
Yeah. Who else have you had on?
So we had Michael Cerveris.
Oh, awesome.
Who played Professor Pig.
Yeah.
On there, and then we had
he was brilliant in that.
Well, he's such a great. He's from West Virginia.
Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
he grew up here, so that was why we reached out. I was like, we got to get him. But he's such a great stage actor. He's a like a Tony Award winner with that. So I don't know, pretty cool, pretty cool. And then
yeah.
we've got the gentleman. I'm drawing a blank on his name that played Ray Shal Ghul.
Oh, yeah. Alexander Siddig.
Yeah, Alexander Siddig. Yeah, so
He's also in Game of
he has
Thrones.
yes, yeah, he's been on all the shows, right? He was Deep Space Nine. He's on the new one, Foundation, right now.
I don't know Foundation.
Yeah, it's based on Isaac Asimov's science fiction stories from years ago. You know, the laws of robotics, and it's kind of a world building type of show, very Dune like. I would say it's got a Dune type of feel, but yeah, it's on Apple TV. I'll send you that password too.
Please.
Get you hooked up.
Get me educated out here.
Do you have a favorite Batman?
A favorite Batman. Let me think. Live action Batman, I'm assuming you mean.
You can choose. You can choose because there's some pretty good voice actors too.
Yeah, yeah. I think I have to go Christian Bale, which I know is a boring answer, but it was that was who I first saw as Batman. That was my first introduction to Batman. Was 7 years old, or no, 4 years old when Batman Begins came out.
Right.
And I remember even more vividly, because I don't remember when I was 4, to be honest, but even more vividly when The Dark Knight Returns, the second movie, came out. I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it at my friend's house who was having a sleepover party, and he put it on, and like, all the other kids, like we all started watching it, but then 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, all the kids like slowly started drifting like into the kitchen for cake and whatever, playing games outside. And I remember I was the only one who watched the entire movie, like in my sleeping bag, just like eyes glued to the screen, and seeing, Heath Ledger in the nurse's costume press the button as the hospital explodes behind him. Like, just so iconic. Like, I'll never forget that. And so, because of that, like that is just like my earliest conception of Batman, was Christian Bale. So for me, that'll always be the gold standard of who the character is.
Did you base any of your portrayal on what you had watched with Christian Bale?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, like that is the gold standard for me. And
he
also
he was the Batman voice, I think.
Yeah. And also I started Gotham when I was 12, and I think the third movie came out right around then, like maybe the year before, like I started Gotham. And so like it wasn't just fresh in my mind, but I think it was fresh in like the cultural consciousness of like around comic books, around Batman, like that. And also because like that movie was so good. Was it The Dark Knight Rises was the last movie? With Tom Hardy. Like that movie was just ridiculously good that like I was like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna imagine what he was like as a kid.
That's pretty great. So,
and then obviously, like, like my knowledge of Batman soon expanded, just because I did a bunch of research, and also just like, the show ended up going in a bunch of different directions, and there was different inspirations, and so like my interpretation slowly changed. But at the beginning of the show, absolutely, I was thinking of myself as a young Christian Bale.
Yeah, I think that's really really terrific. So I know the new Flash movie is going to have Michael Keaton come back as Batman. So at some point when they get around to it and ask you, say, hey, do you want to make an appearance in this movie as Batman? Are you going to do it?
Am I going to do it? You know what? Let's cross that bridge when we get there. I think you know the answer, but we can cross that bridge.
Yeah, we got to do it. We got to do it. Because it's going to happen. That's the thing now, right? Is the surprise appearances by different people, playing the role at a different time.
Yeah,
that's what's great.
I was hoping that when they were doing the Crisis on Infinite Earths in the CW universe, that they would ask some Gotham people to be involved in that.
Should have. I was disappointed with that because they even had Lucifer on it.
Yeah, they went far and wide with the people that they included in that, and I felt like Gotham would have been just a very good fit. But also, I don't know. Maybe they tried, and maybe there was some licensing problems, or maybe
Maybe.
like Gotham like executives didn't want it, or I have zero idea what the deal was there. But I just thought it would have been cool on a personal
Well,
level,
they
like
had
if
like there was a scene when it was first happening where they were just flipping between different worlds. So they'd only be on like the stars from that show for just a few seconds. They totally could have done that with Gotham. You know, it
yeah,
would have just been just a cameo, just real quick. It wouldn't have
yeah,
taken this too
exactly.
long. They even had
Just
the women from Birds of Prey from like 20 years ago were on that.
yeah.
Gotham's the one they were missing.
Yeah, but it also is kind of cool because now Gotham is entirely in its own universe. It is not tied to absolutely anything else outside of Gotham.
Yeah,
No
it's true.
comic books, no movies, no other TV shows.
That
So
is
like if
kind of
we,
neat. You're
it is kind of
self-contained.
neat because it's so easy, and the tendency nowadays with anything comic book related is to tie it into like we've been talking about, to tie it into something else, some other production out there, like be like, oh, this will give the fans a kick, and it does give the fans a kick, but there's also a little bit of a short-term kick, and it has to make sense.
That's right. That's
And
right.
and so it is kind of cool that we've held out. I don't know what the value in that is, but we have. So at least we may as well look at it as a positive.
I agree. It's a positive. I'd seen an interview where you mentioned that the one villain you wish they had on was Killer Croc, and I agree
Hmm.
with that. We needed some Killer Croc.
I was a
They had
big
like all the rest of them.
Yeah, we had some Killer Croc references. We had a dude. I forget. He escaped from some lab. Like I forget exactly what. Um, and he looked like he had a Killer Croc resemblance. But like, yeah, I think they could have like done a cool origin story with Killer Croc. Because Killer Croc was in. Am I wrong in saying that he was in the original Suicide Squad
Yeah,
movie?
he was. Yeah,
He was, right? Yeah.
yeah.
So I thought they had a cool origin story for him there. I thought he's also one of the villains in, was it Earth 52, but with Jeff Johns, I think,
He
which
was.
is
Yeah, he was. He was
yeah.
one of the villains from Earth 50.
Yeah, and those both came out right around the time of like the last couple seasons of Gotham. So there was a lot of Killer Croc in the cultural like DC awareness at the time. So I felt like it would have been cool to for Gotham to give its own version of his origin story there.
If you didn't play Bruce Wayne, who would you be in Gotham?
Ooh, um, any character that wasn't necessarily in the show, but that could have been, or like characters that were in the show, like
Yeah,
someone else.
either one. Someone that you could put in the show, or somebody that was in the show that you would just get a different interpretation.
So I have two answers to this. My first answer is, I know this would have made no sense in the context of Gotham, but maybe in like the last episode could have been something. I would have loved to. I just would love to play Robin, specifically Damian Wayne. Playing Bruce Wayne, like
Yes.
Damien's so different, but also they are tied by blood. I've always loved that character. I love how complex he is. One of my favorite comics, and don't hate me for this because I know it's not the most popular opinion, but one of my favorite comic series out there is the Injustice comics. I don't know if you've read them.
Oh yeah.
I love the game
Yeah.
too. I think the comics are fantastic. And Damian Wayne is like just a great character in that because he's like, he's like part of the Batman camp, but he defaults on his dad and goes to like the Superman regime. But he has his reasons. And I don't know. I've just always liked that like rebellious kind of.
Well, he's definitely rebellious.
Spoiled kid.
Goes to his own drumbeat.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. That's a great answer. I could totally see that.
But like I said, that wouldn't make much sense in the context of Gotham, obviously.
Right.
So in the context of Gotham, some of that would make more sense. And I because this actor did such a fantastic job, I wouldn't want to play this character. I just love this character so much. And like, yeah, it's the Riddler, like Edward Nygma. I thought Corey just absolutely killed it. I loved whenever he came on the screen. We never like really got to work together, so I never got to see what he was doing live. Obviously I knew him very well, but I just never got to see him work like outside of like maybe 2 or 3 times on the entire 5 years. And so I'm like, just as a fan watching the show, I'd always be so excited when his scenes came on, because I would not know what to expect, and I always loved it. I always loved his choices. So yeah, that's another character that, like I said, I don't think I'd want to play him, but if I ever had to do something, like maybe just would be cool to explore that character.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because man, he was so good on that show. I mean, he was the Riddler. You saw him, you're like, that's the Riddler.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really well done. We need a movie. We're going to bring back Christian to play Batman. You could be Damian Wayne.
Say less. I'm in for that. That is all I've ever wanted.
Because he's a little older now. You're a little older. You could play, kind of a grown up Damian.
A grown up Damian, yeah. Or Nightwing. I could go for Dick Grayson too.
Nightwing, Brett's my son. That was always our favorite. We're Nightwing fans. Because he always, like when I was growing up, he had that story. He was trying to get out from under Batman's shadow, so he became, he becomes Nightwing. It kind of creates the Titans, and he had the whole thing with Batgirl and with Starfire, and just it was always our favorite.
Yeah,
you do that. You could be a Nightwing, but you can only be Nightwing if you do the mullet. Remember Nightwing back in the 90s, he had a mullet. If you can believe
a mullet.
That's the one. That's the one we want you to do. You gotta
really? Okay. All right, cool. Yeah,
you gotta look that up. You gotta look it up. Nightwing.
I would love to see Nightwing with a mullet. Yeah. But dope. I don't know how I would look with a mullet, but maybe if I'm wearing a Nightwing costume, it'll work.
It would work. Yeah. we could do that. We could do that. I could see it. I could see you got the right hair though. You could do like original Aqua Boy, the Garth Aqua Boy, because he had the curly hair. You could totally do that one.
I'm about it. Sounds good.
It's gonna totally recast you.
Aqua Boy, yeah. I'm just gonna play different DC characters my whole life.
That's right. That's it. Forget all the rest of whatever you're gonna do. We're gonna stick you with DC, and you're just gonna bounce around.
Awesome.
See how many movies you like the psychology stuff. We could put you in a role as a scarecrow.
There you go. It works. It's fitting. We need an econ villain that I could be too.
Yeah. Okay.
Who's like a villain driven by money in the DC comic books? Can't really think of one.
I was gonna say maybe the Penguin, but that doesn't quite fit him either. Yeah, because like that's the one.
It's more power for him.
Yeah, it's more power. Most of the villains, it's more power instead of.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna come up with one.
Yeah, we'll think of it. There's got to be someone out there. What?
There's some out there that are in it for the money.
There's got to be. I mean, I feel like honestly, I feel like none of the like master villains are in it for the money. They always have better reasons. Maybe some of the like mob bosses, like local villains that are used as pawns by the bigger like rogues gallery.
Yeah, like the Flash has a bunch of villains that are always robbing banks and stuff, and his maybe it'd be a Flash villain.
There you go. I'm a Flash villain. What's the Freeze guy? Who's
it's Captain Cold.
Captain Cold, yeah. All right, I'll be Captain Cold.
You could be Captain. You could be Captain Cold. That's it. That's the one we're going. Captain Cold's probably all about the money.
I'm glad we figured this out.
Call your agent, let him know it's either Captain Cold or nothing.
Captain Cold.
Either give me Captain Cold, or I'm going to work on my master's degree.
Sounds good.
So, do you have a genre that you haven't got to do that you would like to try?
Ooh, what a great question. I'd love to do more comedy, honestly. I think like the single camera like comedy format of like Modern Family, The Office. I've done those on The Office, obviously, but I haven't done much of that, and I think I would
more
like
of those shows. Those shows are kind of dying off. We need more of those.
Yeah. What are like the popular sitcoms of today? I can't even think of any.
Well, most of them have ended recently, right? Modern Family ended, Big Bang ended. We've kind of gotten away from the staples. Now there's not that many that on network TV. I mean, there's streamers that will have them, but I don't know.
I feel like streaming services don't even have sitcoms that often.
They don't really. I mean, they have comedy, but I wouldn't call them sitcoms.
It's more like hour-long dramedy kind of things.
Yeah. We need some sitcoms coming back. So let's work on that. We'll workshop that.
Let's do it. Let's workshop it. Let's bring back some network sitcoms.
We have to do it. Because there used to have Friends, Cheers, Seinfeld, all those were out there. Now they're all gone.
Yeah.
And we need something new.
I love Seinfeld. I still watch Seinfeld.
Network. Well, Seinfeld's good, no matter what. It holds up.
Yeah.
It holds up. But I can't even think of a network. Young Sheldon, maybe.
I was thinking about Young Sheldon.
Maybe there's just not that many.
That also, I don't think it has a live audience. I think it's like 40 minutes single cam.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. Yeah, is there even live audience shows out there anymore? I'm sure there is.
Sure,
there are many.
Sure there are.
Very many. I miss those things where, like, they've had the reunions lately. The Friends did a reunion, and Fresh Prince did a reunion, and they showed the clips where the actors were coming out and kind of interacting with the crowd, before they started the show and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. Have you ever done?
I was in the audience of a live sitcom. Now that I'm thinking about it, like a year ago.
Really? What was it?
About a year ago. Yeah, it was The Neighborhood with I forget his name, but the guy who plays Schmidt
from New Girl.
Yeah.
Max something.
Exactly.
Max
Greenfield. Yeah.
Greenfield. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one's not too bad. I've watched that one.
Funny guy. Yeah. It was great. It's a great show.
Did you get it? Did you go up and say hi at the end of it?
I forget if I did. I don't think I did. I was there with a friend. My friend's dad writes for the show. So
very nice. Yeah, very nice. All right, well there you go. That's the one now. That's the only one we can come up with. So The Neighborhood's it. It's actually pretty good. That's a decent show. Yeah, I'd forgotten.
I'm gonna get on that show. Yeah.
That's not too bad.
I think like less what I look for is the genre and more, the character. I just love a character that I can relate to, and it's tough to exactly qualify what that is. It's just kind of in the writing, either I feel like this can be me or not, and sometimes it's a stretch.
That makes sense. Are you interested in doing more movies?
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said before, acting requires, I think some of the hardest part of acting is giving empathy to a character that you just don't actually agree with. And that just takes a lot of openness and understanding. And it's difficult. It's difficult to do. So that's something that's a muscle that I want to work on. So I would like to play characters that aren't, like, when I say I can relate to, I don't mean characters that are similar to myself. I just mean characters that I can understand.
Right.
Because if you don't understand, that's something, obviously, like I said, I'm trying to work on. I want to understand as many characters as I can. But if I don't understand a character, I just can't play him. It's just impossible.
That completely makes sense. Yeah, because it'd be very difficult if you just had no connection at all.
Yeah.
Where that character was coming from. It'd be tough.
Exactly.
It'd be tough. Yeah, it's not. Have you ever had a role or a scene that was kind of draining? Like at the end of it, you were just emotionally exhausted.
Yeah, absolutely. There was one scene on Gotham where I think it was the season 3 finale where I had to kill Alfred.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember that scene?
I remember that scene.
Very emotionally exhausting. I remember I just took a fat nap for hours after that, because it really did just drain me. And most of the time I'm very on a set, people would say oh, I can always tell when David's acting and when he's not, because he's just when he's Bruce Wayne, he's walking good posture, hands at his side, like very methodically and slowly. And then when he's defeated, bouncing around and having fun. And usually I'm able to like do that like a switch, just on and off, especially if I've been doing it for a while. But
Right.
that seems like I really I brought myself to a place that it was tough to get out of for a few hours.
That'd be tough. That'd be tough. But yeah, I could totally see that scene because it was draining to watch. It's just tense, stressful with that. And if you were committing to the scene, I could see where that would wear you out. Makes sense.
Well, you have to commit, or else what are you doing? Just go home.
But David, thank you so much for doing this. This has been great.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael.
Yeah, I appreciate you, fitting us in, doing the college thing, and fit. Are you a sports fan? Are you a football fan?
I'm a Stanford football fan, absolutely.
Yeah, well, they're good.
They are, yeah. We beat Oregon in last week, which was a great game.
That was a really. I was surprised that Stanford beat Oregon because Oregon was really good.
Yeah, it was a really good game though. Like and we beat USC this year. It was. I was at the game. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
It was great.
Did you sit with like your fraternity brothers?
Some of them, yeah. There's like a big student section where everyone just sits and like you just see people and just kind of sit with them.
That's what you need to be doing. Stanford
cheerleading
mascot.
Yeah, that's actually a very long application process. Our mascot is a tree, and I'm friends with him, and it's but dude, it looks like a hard job. I mean, that guy is just like nonstop dancing in the sweltering heat for hours and hours on end in like a massive mascot costume. Like he's got to just be like hurting by the end of that. It just takes a lot of energy. I don't think I have.
You said it was a tree?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Tree.
My godson is the mascot at Marshall University, which is the Thundering Herd. So he's a bison, and that's what he said. He said it's just so hot in that costume. It wears him out. I'm like, well, yeah, but it's kind of neat to say, hey,
it's a little gross in there too. I'm sure all those mascot costumes are just caked in sweat.
They're not buying new ones every time there's a new person.
No, they're not.
Well, okay. So before I let you go, a couple things. Is there anything? I know you're in school now. Are you working on anything currently that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Yes, absolutely. I can't talk about them quite yet because some things are still just getting finalized. But definitely keep an eye out for some announcements from me in the next couple months.
That means you have to come back when you can talk about it.
I will. I look forward to that.
What's the genre? What's the genre?
I don't want to say too much, but there's a couple of different things. There's a couple of different things that I'm excited about.
Well, I'm assuming.
I'll talk about them when we can talk about them. I don't want to say anything I'm not supposed to say.
You don't want to say, you don't want to mess yourself up. We don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that you'll put that out on social media. So where can we find you on social media?
Find me on social media. So my Instagram is David A. Mazouz. That's that. Yeah. And then my Twitter is real David Mazouz. Even though I barely tweet, even though I want to start tweeting more. And that's about it. You can find me on Facebook, but I'm just gonna be totally straight up. I am never on Facebook, so it's a little point in following me there.
Yeah, that's right. So did you have to put the real in front of it because there's some Yahoo out there using the name?
Honestly, it was just like a trend when I first made my Twitter in like 2013 that people were doing.
It was kind of a trend for a while.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just did it. Like I didn't really question it too much. There's just other people were doing it, so I did it.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Well, David, thank you so much. This has just been terrific. Best of luck at college, and please do come back when you can share that stuff. Come back on.
Absolutely, I will. Thank you so much, Michael.
Yeah. Hang on one second for me. Well, how fun was that? That was just terrific. So David Mazouz, big fan of his. I think he's such a talented individual. I know, especially as he kind of gets through Stanford and kind of wraps that up, we're going to hear so much more from him. Although tough to beat being Bruce Wayne. I think if I had had a role where I was Bruce Wayne in anything, they wouldn't even have to invite me to the comic conventions. I would just be showing up, just in costume, ready to go. They wouldn't. I'd live on that for the rest of my life. I'd probably drive everybody crazy. It's probably a good thing that it was David and not me. Best for everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again this week. Definitely don't take that for granted. Appreciate all the support. If you haven't done so yet, we'd appreciate it if you would go to YouTube, Meisterkhan Pod, give us a subscription. That would really help us out. You can also find all 300 episodes, audio and video, on our website, meisterkhan.com. There's a terrific, funny, geeky blog that Brett writes. He's such a talented writer. It's a lot of fun. And it also lets you know if we're doing any conventions or anything that we have upcoming. Thank you guys so much. And please stay tuned. We are having just the best run of guests coming up. And I know there's going to be people that you're going to love hearing from. So please stay with us. Give us your subscription. We really appreciate that. Thanks to David. Thanks, everybody. Until next time.